Hey everyone, this is Vilash back here again from Selenium Express, and this tutorial is the continuation of my last tutorial where I have discussed very clearly that what table per class hierarchy in Hibernate means. So we have already discussed the concept in the last tutorial. So if you haven't watched that yet, I really encourage you to go and watch that because that's gonna really help you to understand the concept behind the table per class hierarchy concept. Alright, but if you don't want to learn the concept, you want to follow the program along with me, then you can watch this tutorial from the beginning. There is no problem with that, but this will be really helpful if you already had the concept in the last tutorial. Alright, so let's go ahead. Well, before I go ahead, let me tell you guys that there are two different ways by using what we can create a Hibernate application. The first one is by using XML, and the second one is by using annotation. But first, here in this tutorial, I'm going to follow the XML approach. I know it's a kind of old school approach, but still a lot of companies are using it, and I really encourage you to learn that concept as well. So let us follow the XML approach first, and once we are done with that, we'll go and see the annotation approach. Okay, so without wasting any time, let's go for the program and let's start coding the same example that we have discussed already in the last tutorial. Alright, so let's go for that. Let's quickly see everything that we have discussed throughout this tutorial in action. Alright, so I have developed a very simple project over here called table for hierarchy, and I just have some basic XML files over here just to save my time. And I know if you are following this tutorial, then you must be familiar with these two files. One is configuration file and one is my mapping file. And another thing that I did is, I just put every required Hibernate jars to my build path. Okay, so make sure that you put everything inside your reference library, or if you're using Maven, just download that from web. I mean from the Maven repository. All right, so the next thing is make sure that you have a MySQL connector, or if you're using Oracle Oracle database, then make sure that everything you need, every jars you need, you just put it inside the reference library as well. All right, so let's quickly go ahead and let's start coding. So let me collapse it and let me come to src, and I want to create a package right now. So I'm going to create a package. My package name will be com.seleniumexpress.entity. All right. Alright, so the next thing is I'm going to go ahead and click on finish. Okay, so inside my entity package, so I want to place all my entities over here, all my posters over here. So the next thing is I'm going to create a class, and I'm going to give my class name to something Team India. Alright, so let me click on finish, and there you go. So let me maximize a bit and zoom a little so that we can see it properly. All right, so for my Team India, as I said, I'll have two properties only. Let's say three properties. The first property will be serial number. So let me say SL number. The next property will be a string. So let me have a control space, string of first name, and I do have another property over here as well, which is called string last name. Alright, so everyone who belongs to my Team India class will have a specific serial number, a specific first name, and a specific last name as well. Alright, so the next thing is I'm going to generate some getters and setters for my Team India, and I'm also going to generate one of my constructor just to initialize all these non-static members. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So let me have some white space over here, and then I'll do a right click, I'll go to source, and I'll click on generate getters and setters. make sure that you select everything. All right, and click on OK once you're happy with that. All right, so as you can see over here, we have generated all the getters and setters right here. So the next thing is to generate a few constructors for my class. So the first constructor I'm going to generate is, it will be a default constructor. So like this. I don't want this auto-generated stuff over here, so let me delete it. And the next one that I want to generate, it will have a few different properties. It will initialize few different properties. So let me go to source again and click on generate constructor using field. I'm just going to uncheck this serial number here because I want my DB to generate my serial number automatically. I'll make it an identity key. Alright, so I'll tell you about that when I'll be talking about my configuration file. So the next thing is, let me click OK over here because I'm happy with that. And let me delete this super. And there you go. So I have a constructor over here which is going to initialize my first name and last name, and I do have all my getters and setters created for my class called Team India, right? So we're all set to go. Alright, so it's time for to create another entity class. So I'm gonna go over to this particular package. I'll do a right click, I'll click on new, and I'll click on class. So this time my class will be bestman. So once you're happy with the name, just click on finish, and there you go. So let me zoom in a bit. Okay, so now all my bestmen, first of all, will have a first name, last name, and a serial number. So what I want is my bestman should extend to Team India because all those properties is going to be really common. And the next thing is they'll have some unique properties. So let me develop that. So let me say private uh, string batting hand. All my batsmen will have a unique batting hand. So there you go. And then another one I'll have is private int highest score. So all my batsmen will have a highest score. So there you go. So the next thing I want, again, I want to generate my getters and setters and a constructor to initialize these two variables. So let's go ahead and quickly do that. So I'll do a right click, go to source, and go to generate getters and setters. And then I'm going to select all and click on OK. So I'll give a white space over here for better readability. So the next thing is I'm going to go ahead and click on source, click on generate constructors using field, and what I want is I want both these fields to be checked, and I'll click on OK. There you go, my constructor is created, and I'm gonna remove this super from here. Alright, so everything is all set. So this is what I want my class to exactly look like. Alright, so it's all set. So the next thing is I want to create another Pojo class or entity class over here. So let me go to my com.selenium expressors entity. I'll do a right click. I'll go to new. I'll create another class, and this class will be for my bowlers. I'll put all my bowlers right here. So then I'll click on finish. There you go. Okay, so let me maximize it and zoom in a bit. Now again, all my bowlers will have a first name, last name, and serial number. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to extend my bowler class to Team India. So all my bowlers will be the child class for my Team India. And then the next thing I want is I want to define some unique properties for my bowler class. So let me do that. So let me say private string and bowling hand. So all of my bowler will be either left-handed or right-handed bowler. So the next thing I want is best figure. So all of my bowler will have a best figure as well, like 5 for 22, 6 for 67, or something like that. The next thing I want is I want to generate some getters and setters for that. So click on source and click on generate getters and setters. Make sure you select everything and click on OK. All right, so there you go. So the next thing is I want to generate a constructor to initialize my variables during the time of object creation. So let me go ahead and click on constructors, generate constructors using field. Make sure you checked everything and click on OK. And I'm just gonna get rid of this super from here and save it. So you're done with this class as well. All right. So the next thing is really straightforward. So I'll have few people in my team India. I'll have few people in my bestman category, and I'll have few people in my bowler category as well. All right. So the thing is, I want to represent all these people into a single table. All right, I want to put everything into a single table, all the data into a single table. All right, so how to achieve that? All right, so for that, we can do it either by XML or by annotation, as I said. But the first approach that we're going to follow over here is, so let me quickly show you guys how to configure everything using XML. Right, so let me go to my project explorer and let me click on my sbm.xml file. So you can see there's a basic file that I've developed over here. So there is no mapping done over here. So let me quickly map everything. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to mention my class name over here and the corresponding table as well. So let me click on name. So my class name is com.selenium express.entity, and my parent class is team India. So I'll write team India. All right, so there you go. The next thing is I want to give a table name over here. So all my data will be represented to a table called, let's name it as team_India. That sounds good. And the next thing is I want to put a discriminator value. So let me click this one and let me write over here steps. So all the people who belongs to my class team India but not to bowlers or batsman category, he'll be staff. Oh, there is a spelling mistake over here. So let's say stats. All right. So the next thing is my class. Let me map my class properties right now. So the first thing I want to map is my ID. So let me come over here and let me give my ID name, and my ID name is first name is serial number. So if I go over here to Team India, is serial number. Yeah, let me copy this thing and let me put it over here so that I'll not have any typos. So the next thing is I want to map it to a column called, let's say, serial underscore number, and there you go. And the next thing is I told you, right, I want my serial number to be generated by the DB, by the hibernate. All right, so I'll make it identity. All right, so, or I can make it also auto increment. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll write generator class is equal to increment. Okay, so I'm all set with it, and I'm gonna clear some white space over here, and there you go. My ID looks good. Now let me set up some basic property for my class called Team India. So if I go to my Team India class, then I can see there are two property called first name and last name is there.
So let me quickly map it. So let me write it first name, um, which is my property name, and I want to assign this to a column, or I want to make this column name in my database is first underscore name, right? So similarly, I have another property um, inside my student class. So let me quickly configure that as well. So last name, and I want to map it to a column called last underscore name. So there you go. All right, so one more thing that I'm missing is I haven't actually set up my discriminator type. So actually you can see if any of the property belongs to Team India class, I have given a discriminator called tabs to it. Okay, so this tabs is a string type, isn't it? It's a string. So let me set up that as well. So let me type discriminator, and my type is equal to string because this is a string. And the next thing is I want to give a column called category. So there will be a column in the database called category, and for this class Team India, if there will be any property present there, so its value will be staff inside the category. Okay, we'll see that in the database later on if you are confusing. Okay, so no worries. So let's go ahead and do some other stuffs right now. Okay, so now I have successfully configured every properties inside my Team India class. So let me go to subclasses right now. So as you know, this Team India has two child class called bestman, which is extended to Team India, and bowler, which is extended to Team India as well. So first I'm going to configure batsman class over here because as an Indian, I like batting more than bowling, right? Even we Indians become happy when a bowler strikes a six because we like batting more. So let me quickly map all these stops to my DB. So I can say um, subclass over here. So this is really important. Remember the tag. So you need to define your subclasses by a tag called subclass. Then you can go for name over here, and you can type your subclass name. In my case, it's com.selenium express.entity dot batsman. So there you go. And I'll have a discriminator value as well, which will be bat. Okay, so any of the properties belongs to this batsman class will have a discriminator value called bat. Okay, so it will be easy to read. So the next thing is I need to set up my property for my batsman. So the first thing is I need to set off this property, which is batting hand, because all of my batsmen will have a unique batting hand, and inside the DB I want to have a column called batting underscore hand. All right, so the next thing is very simple. So I just need to copy this thing, and I need to put it over here, and I need to change this property. So another property I do have called highest score. So each batsman will have a high score, just like Rohit Sharma, 264. So the column name I'll keep highest underscore score, and there you go. So this is all about my subclass, and it's done. So I do have another subclass which is bowler. So let's bring bowling or bowlers to action. So inside my bowler class, I do have two properties again, bowling hand and best figure. So let me configure this first. So the first thing that I'm going to do over here is I'm going to copy this subclass, and I'm going to paste it over here because I'm so lazy, and a lot of programmers are lazy. We don't want to write more code, we want to use shortcut. So like this. Okay, so the all I want to do over here, I need to change this class name to bowler. So I'll write bowler, and my discriminator value will be ball. All right, so this is going to be the alias for this class. Okay, it's not alias, it's discriminator value. Apology for that. So the next thing is I need to quickly set up the property for my importer. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'll copy this property, I'll go to my SVM file and I'll put my property over here, and I'll just change this to bowling hand. So let's say bowling underscore hand. The next thing is, I think is paste figure. So let me copy this out and let me put it over here. Sorry, put it over here. And I just change this mapping to paste underscore figure. So this is going to be my column name in the database. So there you go. We're all set, isn't it? So let me clear some white space over here, and that's looking good. So all I did over here, so I do have a class, and my class name is Team India. It has two subclasses, which is batsman and bowler. Okay, and the next thing is I've set up all their properties over here, and I do have a different discriminator type for each of my class, which is taps, bat, and ball respectively. So we're done with this mapping stuff. So let me save this thing by pressing Command S. And the next thing is I'm gonna hand over this thing, this mapping file to my configuration file. Okay, so let me open my hibernate.cfg.xml file. Alright, so now you can see I've set up some basic properties over here inside my hibernate CFG file. So let me quickly cover that. So if you see these first four properties, is my first thing is I'm loading up my driver class. In my case, is MySQL driver. So if you're using Oracle or some other database, you can use that driver. The next thing is my connection URL, where I'm going to have some changes just after a few times. The next thing is, I'll have a username and password. In my case, it's root and avi, but for you, it may be something different. All right. So the next thing is my dialect. All right. So you can see I have set up my MySQL dialect because I'm going to be using the MySQL database. And the next thing is I want to see all my queries in my console that Hibernate is firing up. So I've set this property SQL to true. And the next thing is I want my Hibernate to create everything for me. I don't want to write any SQL code. Everything Hibernate is going to be creating by firing up query on the fly. So I have set up these properties to create. The only thing that I need to change over here is the mapping resource. So in this file I have mapped everything. So let me change it to hibernate.sbm.xml. This looks good. So I'm just referring this particular file from this CFG file. All right. So the next thing is connection URL. Okay. So the first thing is I just want to change this ES new replica, which is my older database. Instead, I'm going to create a new database where my table is going to be created and where all my records is going to be stored. Okay. So I've already mentioned the table name Team India is going to be created. So this is going to be created in which database? That database I need to create. All right. So let me create a different database by going to my MySQL workbench. So this is a MySQL workbench that I'm going to use in this case. So don't worry if you don't have it. You can just create a schema by writing a query in your command line. All right. So I'm just going to put my password over here, and there you go. So the only thing that I'm going to do inside the database is I'm going to create a schema. So my schema name will be, let's say, Team India. All right, I'll click on apply, and there you go. So this is the advantage of using MySQL, because it's going to generating the query for me. So I'm going to create an apply, and I'm going to click on close. So let me close it. So there you go. So you can see over here right now we have a DB. We have a schema called Team India. All right, and we have our table tab over here, which is empty, and we don't need to worry much about it because Hibernate is going to create our tables. So that's all. That's all I want to do in my DB. So let me switch back to my Eclipse, and let me change this thing. Change my schema name to Team India. just I set up over here. So it's Team India, right? Okay, so there you go. So now I'm done with developing my config files, my mapping files, and all my classes, my entity classes. So the only thing which is pending is I need to create a application. I mean, I need to create a client and I need to test this application. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create another package. So I'm going to click here, package, and I'll give it a name called com dot Selenium Express dot starter. Let's say it's starter because it's gonna start our program. So let's write a starter over here. And the next thing is I'm gonna create a class. All right. So my class name will be let's say table for hierarchy. And once you're happy with that, click on finish. All right. So this is our client class. And I need a man method over here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna type main here and we'll have a control space, and I want my man method. Okay, so there I go. So inside my man method, the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna type some comment out over here. So this is gonna be very easy to track. All right, so let me write some comment really quick. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to load my config file. So for that, I'll write configuration. So there you go, the first one right there. And I'll write config equal to new configuration. And I'll write config dot configure. And I need to put my configuration file, which is hibernate.cfg.xml. I think I spelled it correctly. So the next thing is I need to create my session object. So the first thing is I need to get my session factory. So I'll write build session factory, and I'll store it within a session factory object. So I'll write session factory equal to config.build session factory. So this looks good. So the next thing is I need to get a session object from this factory object. So let's write factory dot open session, and let's save it within a session reference. So I'll write session. All right, there you go. So my session is ready. So the next thing is I need to create few objects for my team India, batsman, and bowler class, and I can save them later. So let me start creating that. So I'll write a team India. Sorry, I'll just make it Sastri, or I can make it Ravi, because Ravi Sastri is the coach and he belongs to Team India class. So let me write a new Team India. I want to use this constructor. So the first name is Ravi, the last name is Sastri. Okay, all right. So I'll put a semicolon over here. All right, so now I want to create few batsman's object for my batsman class. So I'll write batsman Rohit equal to new batsman, and I want to use this constructor. So he is a right-handed batsman, so I'll write right, and his high score is probably 264. So there you go. So I want to copy this and paste it for a few times, and I'll change it to Dhoni, and he's a right-handed batsman and his high score is 183, and I can write Virat. So there you go, and he's also a right-handed batsman, and his high score is 183. And let me create one more, so it will be better for our readability. So I'll write Raina, and he's a left-handed batsman, and his high score is around 140 or something. This doesn't matter. The next thing is I'm gonna create few of my bowlers object. Okay, so how to do that. So I'll write bowler. So write one over there. Bowler Nehra equal to new bowler, and his bowling hand is he's a left-handed bowler, and his best figure is probably 7 or 6 for 50 or 21 or something. And I want you copy this line and we'll paste it for twice or thrice. I'll change it to booby, and he's a right arm bowler, and his best figure is probably 5 for, let's say 5 for 40. There you go. And then we'll take another one. Let's take Sir Jadeja. So he's a right arm spinner, and his best score is let's say best figure is 7 for 21, right? So there you go. We just cannot do more research on that. So the next thing is I need to save all of these objects. Okay, so to save it, first thing I need to do is I need to open my transaction. So I'll say session dot open transaction, sorry, begin transaction, that is begin transaction. All right, so now let me save it to a transaction object. So let me write transaction over here, hibernate equal to transaction, and there we go. So it's coming. So I think there is another import present here. So let me delete that first. Okay, let me delete this, and let me clear some white space, and let me come back to here, and let me delete this package. Okay. So the next thing is I need to save my objects. So I write session.save, and I'll save each of my object starting from Ravi, and I need to quickly save all of my objects. So let me save it. Alright, so I have saved all of my objects right here that I have created, but one thing that I forgot to do it over here, as I said, my batsman will have some unique properties, like either they are right-handed or left-handed batsman, and they'll have a high score. But I also need to set their first name and last name, which is coming from their parent class, right? First name and last name. So let me quickly do that as well. So I'll say Rohit dot first name, I'm sorry, Rohit dot set first name, so right, set first name, and I'll write Rohit, and similarly I'll write Rohit dot set last name, and I'll write Sharma. All right, and similarly I'll do the same thing for all of my objects that I have created, and let me quickly do that. Alright, so I have set up all their first name and last name for each of my batsmen and bowler, which is not coming from their class, it's coming from their parent class. Alright, so the next thing is, so I have already saved all my objects, right? So the next thing is I need to commit my transaction. So I'll write transaction dot commit, and the next thing I'm going to do is, oh, I have written everything over here, so let me cut and paste it to saving objects, and let me clear this white space. Alright, so the next thing is I need to close my connections, the very final step. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write session.close and factory.close. Alright, so I'm all set, and once everything is done, I'll write sysout. Alright, execution completed. Alright, so let me save it, and now we can run this application and can check if there is any error to fix. Alright, so I'll go ahead, run edge, and I'll do job application. All right, it's running, is firing off all the queries, and the first thing the hibernate is looking for, if the table is exist called team India or not. So if it exists, it's gonna drop it. Then it's created my table called team India, and it has inserted all the data to my table. And once everything is done, it's just printed that line that I've written in the last of my program, execution completed. All right, but uh, okay, but I think I have done a mistake here, and the mistake is, I know if you are watching me, you already know it, because I haven't changed this reference. It should be Dhoni.first name and Dhoni dot set last name. Similarly for Virat is Virat dot first name and Virat dot last name. I'm sorry for this mistake. Uh, all right, and for all other properties, we just need to change their reference a name over here. So it's because of the copy and pasting. So no problem. All right, so I have fixed this issue and I have changed the reference to every batsman and with respect to every bowler. All right, so now save it again and let's run this application again. I'm sorry for this mistake. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's run it again as Java application. So now my hibernate is gonna fire off all the queries for me and everything seems good. So let me right now check this out. Okay, so let me go to the database and okay, the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a refresh over here, and now you can see over here inside the table we have our team India present over here, which hibernate has created on the fly. So if I run a select query, we can see the stuffs over here. So the thing is, all of our class properties has been represented to a single database table, which is team India. And you can see the serial number, first name and last name is coming from my team India class. Batting hand and high score is coming from my batsman's class. Bowling hand and best figure is coming from my bowler's class, isn't it? So if I see this category option, this is my discriminator values. So this staff belongs to my class team India, and it will only tag Ravi Sastry because I have only created these properties inside my using my team India class. So he doesn't have a batting hand, high score, bowling hand, or best figure because he is the staff of a team. So the batsmen, which is Rohit Sharma or MS Dhoni or Virat Kohli or Suresh Raina, they'll have all their batting hand properties and their high score properties over here as well. And all other stops will be set to null because they don't have bowling hand at best figure. And if you talk about bowler, the first thing is they have a discriminator type which is called ball, which represents that they belongs to the bowler class because ball is the discriminator type for bowler class, and they'll have their bowling hand and their best figure properties respectively. All right, so this is how the table for class concept in Hibernate works.
Alright, so this is it from this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we're going to code the same example by using annotations. And let me say you guys that the next tutorial will not take more time. We're going to make it really quick because we have already developed everything like the project classes, the client application, the mapping files already been developed. So it's never going to take more time. So I encourage you to watch the tutorial and also subscribe to my channel for get more videos like this. So I'll see you in the next video. Till then, happy coding.